Some additional insight in what the government and Congress specifically trying to do to help small business and businesses overall. Wyoming Republican Senator John Barrasso joins us tonight. Senator, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Bret.
Can you give our viewers an update of where this is right now tonight? And the negotiations are continuing, but the prospect for passage of this Phase 3 bill.
Yeah, this should have been passed on Sunday, and then it should have been passed yesterday. This should be passed tonight. But yet we're in a delaying pattern based on Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. The American people need a couple of things. This is a rescue package, probably the largest piece of legislation that Congress has ever done. The resources are needed by our health care providers, and I'm a doctor and I've been talking to doctors. I know what they need. And immediate relief is needed by Americans who need the support that they're not getting in terms of their jobs. 150 million Americans, many not allowed to go to work. So we put together what was started as a bipartisan piece of legislation to address these needs. These are supposed to be targeted needs, temporary relief and answers for people. But yet Nancy Pelosi showed up here on Sunday with a liberal wish list that has slowed down the entire process. She comes in, and I've seen her on television, several shows today, no sense of urgency and no true understanding of what the American people are worried about as they wait and they watch for Congress to act.
Well, let me ask you about that. I saw you on the floor yesterday, the Senate floor, and as livid as I've seen you, listing extraneous pieces of the House piece of legislation. Speaker Pelosi was asked about that today, about other items in the bill. Here's what she said.
We have the best minds in the country, 24/7, all hands on deck, trying to find a path here. And that is what will be the light at the end of the tunnel. What the president is suggesting is that light at the end of the tunnel could be a train coming at us if people are out and about in a way that it spreads the disease further, relates to COVID-19. It's not about making law for the future. It's about COVID. Everything we're suggesting just relates to COVID-19. It's not about making law for the future. It's about COVID, well, except fighting COVID-19 is for the future, but I mean, it's not changing policy except as it applies here.
So basically she said that all the things in the bill are related to that. You say that that's not true.
Well, you've seen the bill. Fox has been putting that up. It's wind turbines, solar panels, the Green New Deal for airplanes. It's election reform. It's new powers for members of unions. You go one after another, and the holdup I hear tonight in terms of what the chatter is on the internet, that the holdup today is funding for Planned Parenthood. I have to tell the American people who are listening, the Republicans are ready to act to provide relief in this rescue operation for our health care providers, and they need it. They need the
Senator, they're negotiating a Senate bill still. They're not on this House bill. They're still negotiating, from what I'm told, and what the president just said at that news conference, that they're very close to a deal. You're sounding a little bit more negative, but is there a possibility of a deal, do you think, tonight?
Chuck Schumer this morning said we're on the 2-yard line. Then why haven't we crossed the goal line? Republicans have been ready to vote. We voted Sunday, Monday. I want to get this finished tonight. The holdup is the Democrats continue to vote no, as Nancy Pelosi tells them to vote no. And Chuck Schumer, who Saturday night said we've had all this great bipartisan work, that has ended. The American people need relief, and we want to get them to do them tonight. Nancy said, well, if we don't do it today, we can do it tomorrow. The sense of urgency isn't there and felt by her in the way that is felt by the people at home who are watching and waiting for relief.
There is an urgency as well, and you're a doctor, you know this, on the front lines dealing with this pandemic. Here's the governor of Michigan talking about that.
The allotment of personal protection equipment for one of our hospitals was 747 N95 masks, 204 gowns, 4,467 gloves, and 64 face shields. Now, with the exception of the gloves, that allotment is barely enough to cover one shift at that hospital.
I mean, Senator, there's a desperate need, right, on the front lines?
There is a desperate need, and every day that is delayed, those needs are not being met. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer right now are wasting time that we as a nation do not have. We need to get this passed now and get rid of all these extraneous things. Focus on the virus, focus on the needs of defeating the virus and the needs of the people who, through no fault of their own, are out of work as a result of what has happened in their lives by the government stepping in and saying, stay home.
I only have 15 seconds here, but the president says his ideal would be to have the country open by Easter, April 12th. You're a doctor. You know that it's data and what this virus is doing. What's your response to that?
That's an ambitious guideline. I share the president's goals there. You have to evaluate the situation on the ground rather than the calendar on the wall. The best way to get there is by abiding by the things that they've recommended so far to slow and stop the spread of the disease. That's the best way that we can get to that goal of Easter Sunday.
Senator Barrasso, we appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you.
Next up.